Hey ninjas, welcome back. It's so exciting to have you back here because today we are going to talk about how not to just turbocharge your Shopify store, but also how to unleash this amazing potential of your store. And we're going to be deep diving into inventory management and warehousing, which when somebody mentions that, like logistics, warehousing, management, at the beginning, I'm always like, oh, what is this topic? But then when I dived deeper into that and realized like that amazing potential, and so many of our ninjas who have essentially turbocharged their store just through what we are going to go through today, and all of the simple steps you can do to get your inventory management and warehousing under control and then unleash the potential of your e-commerce store. It's just completely insane. And with that said, we've got an amazing expert here. We've got Afolabi, who is a serial ninja entrepreneur who's worked with over 100 e-commerce brands, buying, building, exiting, innovating products, but also partnering in the logistical space. So we will really laser focus with Afolabi on what you guys can do to really turbocharge your Shopify store and really unleash that potential through warehousing and logistics. So Afolabi, welcome. So amazing to have you here.
Thank you, Silvia. I'm so pumped. I'm so excited to join you on this show. Thanks.
Me too. So let's dive right into that. So if we talk about turbocharging and unleashing the potential of an e-commerce store, a lot of entrepreneurs out there are kind of not aware how logistics and warehousing can really help and empower them to do that. So from your point of view, would you be able to essentially take us through what are some of the options to fulfill your product in general, and how can that, I guess, prevent you from growing your store? And what can you do to really turbocharge that journey?
Yes, that's good. Well, I remember when I started out, I will store products. You'll see my living room is filled with boxes. I'll have my sons, put the products together, do the bundles and the kitting. My garage is all covered up. So I would say the first option is to fulfill by yourself. You store your products under your bed, or you put it in the living room and, fulfill the orders by yourself. If you want to start like that, that's okay too, because it depends on what phase you are on your journey, right? But make sure you get a stamps.com account or a ShipStation account. Then you can have a decent postage rate from stamps.com. So stamps.com has the USPS rate, and they also have the UPS rates that are really good. And just recently, they introduced the DHL rates as well. So stamps.com is a good one for a bit.
Amazing. And that's like an app that people can download into their Shopify store, or how does it work?
So Shopify already connects to stamps.com. So you go to stamps.com, you set up an account. I think it's free for like a month, and then it's like $9.99 after. And then you go to your Shopify store, and then you connect your stamps.com account to your Shopify store. So you can pull all the USPS, UPS, and DHL rates, very good rates, directly from Shopify, directly from stamps.com.
That's amazing. And that way, all of you guys who kind of wonder about pricing, right? Because we also have a ton of content on pricing too. And some people are like, oh my God, but if I offer free shipping, like, what is the threshold? Like, this will really help you calculate that. So I would suggest like take the average of your orders, if you go East Coast, West Coast, take the average of that. And that essentially will help you calculate your average shipping charge, or it will help you calculate the threshold that you want people to reach to order free shipping, to offer free shipping. That's fantastic. So now let's say this is how we start, right? So we've got products in at home, in garage, wherever they are, parents' place. And so we download the app, we understand the charges, and the charges are the best ones. So from that point onwards, like, what is the next step? Like, when would be a good time to start thinking about other options, and what even are the other options? Because, I've heard like so many entrepreneurs say like, hey, this is just like logistics and warehousing. It's so confusing because like each and every one of us, we get all of these emails from like people who find our email address somewhere, but it just doesn't make sense. So I guess what are the other options out there if I don't want to send parcels myself?
Okay.
And when is a good time to start thinking about it?
Yes, there are other options. There is using a third-party logistics service, which is called 3PL. 3PL just means third-party logistics. So as a 3PL operator, I can really say a lot about this and really show a lot of tips and tricks on how to do it. But you can consider using a 3PL. You can also have Amazon fulfill your order for you, but I don't like that because they will steal your customers eventually. Amazon doesn't want you to steal their customer, but they are okay if they steal your customer. So they will find a way to move them to their platform. So I don't advise that, honestly. And when is the time? The best time is when you feel that your orders are getting out of control. You can't handle it anymore. You and your kids, or you and your husband, you're fulfilling orders and you're staying there all night, just trying to fulfill orders. That's to tell you, it's time for you to outsource your fulfillment. It's not a good use of your time, honestly. You also would know when you start valuing your time more, you know, would you rather spend time growing your business, coming up with good marketing strategy, good SEO strategy, good branding strategy, or you want to be spending your time on a $10 an hour task, which you could have outsourced to somebody else, right? So at the end of the day, it's well worth it for you to just outsource it to pros that really know how to do this. So that's when I think it's time for you to think of using a 3PL, because your time is so much valuable. You could be spending so much time growing your business rather than fulfilling orders by yourself.
Yes, I love that. And guys, for all of you, start thinking about if you're charging your time back to your business, because so often I've seen that what prevents businesses from growing is that people kind of don't want to pay for other tasks because they're like, oh my God, this is expensive, this is expensive, this is expensive. But if we start charging our personal time, doesn't mean we're getting it paid from the business just yet, but we need to put a number value on it, right? And as a business owner, as the CEO of your business, like, please don't charge back yourself $5. Like, at least put an ideal rate that you think you are worth to be paid. So let's say I would say minimum $50 an hour. So when you start charging yourself back minimum $50 an hour, and at the end of the week, just do this exercise once, like at the end of the week, look at the bill and look at how much you spent. So, and then start thinking about, like, is this enabling me to grow and supercharge my business? Or is this actually stealing me back? There's this book that I've been reading recently. It's amazing. I highly recommend to all of you guys. It's called 10X is Easier Than 2X. It's written by Dr. Benjamin Sullivan, and he's worked with like hundreds of entrepreneurs. And he's based all of his findings on research from like thousands and thousands of the most successful entrepreneurs around the world. And essentially the whole idea is that growing your business exponentially is so much easier than growing your business just a little bit linearly, right? But for that, in order to do that, it's exactly what Afolabi just said. Like, you've got to understand, like, write down all the tasks and really get to understand which one of these tasks will help me move the boat faster. Like, which one of these tasks will help me grow the business exponentially. And for some of you guys who are not in the business for the first time and you're starting an e-commerce store and you know your product will be selling, you might even start thinking about outsourcing a few different things much faster than somebody else, right? So let's talk about Afolabi, some of the, and let's stay a little bit with this charging part, because I think this is where it gets interesting, right? So a lot of entrepreneurs believe that if they get somebody in-house who they can train on how to do different tasks, that eventually over time it's going to be better for them rather than finding different partners, right? Because they believe like, okay, well, if I hire, Joe, who I'm going to be paying $12 an hour, then I can get Joe to do packing and shipping for me, but then I can get Joe to also answer customer service emails. So what would you, I guess, from your point of view, having run businesses and exited businesses and having worked with businesses as a logistics partner as well, like, what would you say are some of the things for people to look out for and some of the mistakes that they could avoid?
Awesome. So I think the first thing to deal with is, for the entrepreneur, what are the dreams you have for your business? What's the vision? Do you want to turbocharge your business? Do you want to like supercharge it and grow it and scale it like crazy? Or you just want to stay within, little income, and that's okay, right? If you really want to scale businesses and take it to the next level and turbocharge it, you cannot rely on a jack of all trade, versatile. We use the word versatile worker. Let me just go hire a versatile worker who's going to do everything for me, right? That means you still have a small mindset. You still have a small mentality. You're not looking at the big picture of, if you can free up your time, how much you can grow. One. Second thing is when you're doing order fulfillment for like a high volume business, the flow is so different. You have to have a loading dock. You have to have a facility that has a loading dock so that the trucks can bring your product and load you and unload really fast and go. You have to have software that connects automatically rate shop for you and find you the best rate and ship something out. So you need personnel, people that, people and the flow. So when the flow of goods come in, it goes out really fast. It's going to take your versatile jack of all trade worker like 10 times more time to fulfill orders rather than you outsourcing it to a 3PL that know what they're doing. I've been there, done that. I've transitioned from do it all yourself to actually having it sourced out. The difference is just so clear. I think it comes down to timing. It comes down to mentality, what dream you have for your business to grow it. It comes down to how many channels you are even selling on. Do you only want to stay with Shopify? Do you want to stay with other channels? Do you want to even buy a good software that would do multi-channel for you? You're talking $1,000 a month just in software cost. Whereas if you use a 3PL, that cost is not there. It's all gone. You don't have to pay anything extra, right? You don't have to stay awake waiting for the truck to show up. Oh, wait, you have to be calling the truck driver every time. Like, so when are you coming here now? And then the truck driver tells you, oh, I'm on the border. I'm somewhere on the intersection of, Mood Street and Broad Street. Is that anywhere close to your house? You're like, oh no, I don't know where you are.
That's true. That's so true. And also dealing with the damages then as well, right? Because every time you order more product, there is always going to be the thing that you start packing and thinking that you're ready to ship to your customer. And then suddenly you're like, oh my God, I cannot ship this box because actually it's been damaged. But at that point, if you haven't inspected, it's too late, and the 3PL partner will do this for you. So I really like the comparison of the jack of all trades. And I have to say that unfortunately, this is one of the mistakes that we've paid in our business a lot of money for. I call it kind of like, education that, in entrepreneurship, we don't have a university that we have to pay, but we paid in other fees. And honestly, we've wasted over 6 figures. We've wasted over 6 figures in expenses purely by hiring jacks of all trades because we thought that we didn't have enough work to hire an expert. But these days, guys, like if you really want to hire an expert, it's really so easy to do that through Fiverr or Upwork. So if you want an expert for your customer service or expert for social media, whatever that is, I suggest rather than hiring one person who's going to be jack of all trades, really hire micro tasking, micro outsourcing, and always hire a specialist. That is one thing we've wasted over 6 figures on, unfortunately, so that you guys don't have to. So I really like this, Afolabi. So tell me a little bit more then about, I guess, some of the mistakes, right? So if somebody is ready, like, okay, I'm ready to partner with an expert who's going to do inspection for my products, who's going to make sure that the products get there, who will then also pack and ship it for multi-channels the fastest way possible, right? So, and also we found out from you that people are actually going to get access to much better shipping rates, right? Because 3PL logistics partner has access to the software to the best rates. So already that's like so many added benefits. But what are then some of the mistakes? Because let's say there is like all of these 3PL partners and I've experienced it myself that we've got suppliers who reach out to us and everybody tells you like, oh, but I'm the best. But not always it's the case.
Yes.
So what are some of the mistakes to avoid, or what is something that we should be looking at?
So many people look at 3PLs or look at all 3PLs the same. They're very different. So there are 3 types of 3PLs. There is the direct to consumer 3PL, which is your order fulfillment. There is the business to business 3PL or direct to business, which is your Amazon, send it from your 3PL to Amazon's warehouse and Amazon does the direct to consumer. And there is the hybrid of both. There's a 3PL that does both. Like we are more of a hybrid. We have customers that send products to us and we ship it to Amazon's warehouses and Amazon does direct to consumer. But we also do direct to consumer as well. It's because we have software that plugs into all kinds of e-commerce platforms, and we can pull orders and send orders, and we can fulfill orders from multiple channels. So you have to know, even within the fulfillment, like direct to consumer and fulfillment 3PL, there is also low volume and high volume 3PLs. There are some 3PLs that will not even listen to you unless you're doing 10 to 20,000 units a day. Those are the high volume 3PLs. And then you have the super high volume 3PLs, who are the ones that are, taking care of companies like Nike, like Armani, like all those big brands that are doing hundreds and hundreds of thousands of orders a day, right? And then you have the low end, whereby, like somebody like us, we're more of a low end because we take customers like with one pallet. Or some people call me or email me like, oh, I want to use your 3PL. I've heard a lot of good things about you, but I only have one pallet. I only have 17 boxes. Can you take it? Yeah, we say yes, we take it, because we have seen brands that grew from few boxes to millions. So I'm so excited to be part of somebody's success story, honestly. So we tell people, you know what, we don't turn people back. You have to crawl before you walk, before you run, right? So you have to know what kind of 3PLs you want to plug into. If your store is already high volume, like 100,000 units a day or 50,000, 10,000 units a day, that you might want to go for direct to consumer 3PL, which is high volume. But if you need a bit of both, then you're looking for hybrid. Another thing, these are the 5 or 6 things that I feel that stand out when you're interviewing 3PLs to know which one you want to go with. The first thing is
guys, always interview them.
Always interview them
so that you understand if that's a great fit for you. Just because somebody sent you a proposal on an email, it's not good. So interview them and pay attention to these questions that Afolabi is about to tell you. What is it that you need to do to interview your 3PL?
Yep, there are lots of questions, but I'll categorize them into 6 categories. The first thing is communication. Send them an email and see how long it takes them to reply.
That's a good one. I really like this. Really, really like this one.
Yeah, because if they don't reply you on time, I guarantee you they're likely not going to be shipping out your products on time either.
That's true. And guys, remember, you are the one, you are the face, you are the brand, right? So your customers, if your 3PL partner doesn't ship on time, doesn't respond on time, if suddenly you don't know what happened to a shipment and you don't have visibility and your customer is asking, you really want that response real fast.
Really fast. The second one is efficiency. Ask them, from the time I received my order, how long does it take you to ship it out? Then they will tell you, usually it's 24 hours. Within 24 hours, you should be able to get the orders out, right? So ask them what the efficiency rate is. Or when I send you my package from China, or I ship it from Mexico, or I ship it from India, how long does it take you guys to inbound my order, to check it in, store it at your warehouse, and be ready to fulfill my order? Let them tell you, the efficiency rate in that. And then the number 3 would be the flexibility. Many 3PLs are very picky. They're really picky. They'll be like, well, we don't want you if you don't do 200 orders a day. Or what if your products arrive from China or wherever and there are holes in your box, or it has mold, or something just happened that is beyond your control? How flexible is your 3PL in helping you fix it? Some 3PLs, they do not like fixing products. They do not like solving any other problem. They just want to receive your product, store it, and ship it out. They don't want to do anything else. So ask them, if my products arrive damaged or something goes wrong, what are you going to do? Are you going to help me out, or you're just going to toss it out or something?
Or are you even going to tell me that it arrived damaged, right? Because if you guys not going to know that happened, and then later on you might look in the system and it's like, oh, there is only, 25 units up for sale instead of 450. You're like, hey, what happened to my product?
Correct.
And by this time, month and a half has gone, and suddenly you find that somebody in the warehouse tells you, oh, well, they arrived moldy, so we chucked them. Or even worse, sending the moldy product to your customer, Like you've got to really be clear on this, because again, like this is your brand, this is your business, right?
Correct. Very correct. I mean, your 3PL should be able to take photos. If anything goes wrong, let's say the container that is bringing your products, there's a hole and the water came in and destroyed some of your goods, they should take photos immediately so that you can file for claims, right? With your shipper, so the shipper can reimburse you for damaged goods, right? So you really need to make sure that your 3PL can do that. The number 4 would be software and connectivity. Does your 3PL have a software where you can see your inventory live? You should be able to know how many units you have in stock at all times. And this software would help you plan your inventory. You will be able to put some settings into it that would alert you or something or whatever. So software and multi-channel connectivity. If you want to sell on Etsy too, if you want to sell on Amazon, if you want to sell on every other channel, will these software be able to connect to all your stores and pull your orders every day to fulfill for you? That's a very, very important point, because most 3PLs do not like to subscribe to all this really good software, because honestly, they're very expensive on a monthly basis. So I can see reasons why some 3PLs, especially little ones, they don't like to subscribe because it's very expensive. The next one will be, my number 5 will be product returns. Do they accept returns? Because not all 3PLs accept returns. Yeah, not all of them accept returns. So we just need to be careful to ask them, do they accept your return? How much do they charge for returns? What do they do with your returns? Like here, we have different processes for different returns. If we return your products, we check it out, we tell you, okay, your products arrive in good condition. Do you want us to rebox it and you sell it again? Do you want to donate it? Do you want to liquidate it? Do you want to sell it at a lower store? Oh, the products arrived, but the packaging is all torn. What do you want us to do? Oh, your products arrived, but we feel that the customer wore it. Or your products arrive and there's another product inside it that is not really yours. So they bought your competitor's product, right? And they bought your product. Your product is premium, but your competitor's product, very similar, is not premium. What they do is they buy both and they return your competitors to you and they keep yours.
Wow.
Yes, so you should be able to, your 3PL should be able to help you spot all this crazy stuff going on in the world today. The last is do they bundle and do they kit for you? Let's say you want to bundle 2 things, like your beautiful scarf. You want to sell a product and you want a 3PL to help you test the market. You don't know if your bundle of my jacket and my scarf is going to sell, right? But I want to explore. So you tell your 3PL, can you help me do a quick bundle of like 50 units so I can test the market? If it sells, then I can have you do all the bundles. If it doesn't sell, I'm like, at least I tried.
Yes.
Many 3PLs don't like doing bundles. They're very strict in what they do. So you got to check to make sure they can help you with all these.
Yes. Yes. That's amazing. I really, really like that. And when it comes to the bundles, so let's say somebody orders 5 different products from my Shopify store, then I presume my 3PL partner would need to be able to pull that all together, right?
Yes.
Yes. And
you'll be able to put it together. And if you want to create a bundle of 2, a bundle of 3, a bundle of 4, or a bundle of this product, put it all together for me in a nice packaging, because I want to see if that kind of bundling will sell. Your 3PL should be able to do that. But unfortunately, most of them don't like doing that.
Yeah. And one of the things that when it comes to converting on your website, guys, like I highly encourage all of you to think about this, because a lot of people don't want to sell multi-channel purely because they're worried about the stock. And then, either they do everything manually, or it creates a huge headache, because every time you're like, oh my God, I sold this on Etsy, I sold this on Amazon. Is it still available? You go into your garage and like look through and sometimes it can get really crazy. And for these reasons, many people don't go multi-channel. Now, from our experience, I mean, we mostly work with Shopify stores and people who are in WooCommerce or Wix and have their own brand, or all of the other platforms. However, what we've seen with our most successful customers is that whilst their main business is their main brand, they also have other channels such as Etsy or Amazon. And that is purely because there are some customers out there who already have a preference in one of these channels, right?
Correct.
They are people who have the Amazon Prime account. And so if somebody wants to buy your product on your Shopify store, they might first check, is it actually available on Amazon? Whilst I'm not a huge fan of Amazon for many reasons, but also one of those reasons that Afolabi mentioned, because Amazon works for Amazon mainly, and Amazon will always find a way, if a product is selling really well, to undercut you, to beat you up, to put their product in front of you, to force you into a price beat, because that's essentially what their platform is based on. It's based on price beats. It's based on essentially cold customer interactions that are with Amazon rather than you owning your customer and having your brand. So for those reasons, I'm not a huge fan of growing your brand on Amazon. However, once your brand has grown a bit, it is another sales channel that it's still hard to ignore, right? So obviously you guys have to all do your numbers, but I would still incentivize some people to go on Amazon. Obviously, you don't want to have a much lower margin or nothing like that. You definitely don't want to make your products cheaper on Amazon. But for those people who have access to Prime memberships, you might want to think about in the future to make them available.
Correct.
I love this, Afolabi. So this is really amazing. So we talked about the turbocharging, right? So we talked about people who are essentially in the starting phases of their business, and they're like running back to the garage and searching for a product. And if we started ending up these hours, like that's crazy, right? Rather than having a partner who's got the software. Now we also talked about a little bit about the unleashing, like the next step, right? The unleashing. How important from your point of view do you think is customer experience, right? Because essentially we know from data that in a great brand, 20% of customers come back. From your point of view, like warehouse and logistics, the speed, the quality, the presentation, like from your point of view, what is the role that the 3PL partner plays in all of this?
So the 3PL should be, I like how you say partner. The 3PL should be your partner. It should be like an extension of your business. You guys should be working together to formulate a plan, strategy. They should know. You should talk to your 3PL and tell them, hey, I'm going to run a sale very soon. I'm going to send out I want to do some discounted sale. I'm going to do some special promotion for Father's Day or Mother's Day. You should be working together. I want to do a special shipping label. I want to do like a prepackaged hamper. Because your 3PL, your customer experience, like you said, the fact that the customer ordered today, within 24 hours, you already got a notification that the order has been shipped out. That's golden. And when the order arrived, it was nicely packed. If you're selling a mug or selling something breakable, you want to know, you want your 3PL to be your trusted partner and say, hey, help me handle it with care. Help me make sure that all these things are well packaged. Use the good box. Don't use a cheesy, crappy box for me, because by the time it gets to your customer, it's already in pieces, right? You want the customer to receive the boxes and make sure that they're in good condition, right? So I think the 3PL experience, the 3PL workflow, and the way your 3PL would do stuff, it's a big part of your consumer experience, because when they receive your product and they see everything arrived intact, the process was seamless, it shipped right on time, the tracking and everything is right on there. There was no problem and everything was seamless. When they wanted to return, it came with an RMA number. They can slap the label on it and return it back to you and stuff like that. I think that it's a big deal with customer experience.
And I like how you mentioned the notifications. I read about the business case a while ago, and it's a very well-known business case. And guys, don't hold me to all of these details because I might not be rewording exactly in detail on how it happens. But essentially, there is this huge business case in the past that happened with, I think, was it with Domino's Pizza? And the whole idea was that people were complaining and there was a huge amount of refunds and returns and people being really unhappy, not necessarily because they were receiving the pizza really late, but it turns out that once you have a notification, knowing where your order is, even though it's late or it's later than you expected, because there is always going to be unexpected things in the world.
Correct.
As long as the notification is there, the customer is actually much more happy than the customer who might receive it on time but never got a notification about anything.
Very good.
So thinking about notification, guys, like those are gold. And I encourage all of you, when you can find a way not to manually send an email to your customer like, hey, your order is on the way. Because I know that many of you guys, like, you run to the post office, you submit it at the post office and then you go back and you send an email to your customer. So if you can find a way to automate this, and if you have an automated alert from your third-party logistics, like that small thing alone is going to cut out probably like 60-70% of your customer inquiries, and it's going to dramatically increase the satisfaction. There was this one time when I worked with an e-commerce business in Australia, and it's now one of the largest e-commerce furniture businesses in Australia. And like literally in the customer service volume, and you can imagine they get like thousands and thousands of emails every single day. Like majority of those emails, it's around 80%. It's literally just, where is my stuff?
Wow.
It's like, where is my stuff? So guys, think about it from that point of view. Like if you can, how many of you have like got that email from the customer and you either have to drop everything you're doing and just like go and look for it. And then it's very like an urgent thing that's, responding to your customer so that you don't get a complaint or a refund request, or so that you get a nice review on your website on the Trustpilot. So you go and do it, but then you kind of become a little bit slave to that, right? Because it's just like, then every time a customer like yells, you jump. So we want to avoid that. So if you can find a way how to do that proactively, and ideally, if your third-party logistics partner has that software that creates those automated alerts, like find a way how to automate it and send it to your customer to keep them in the loop. That is gold.
I agree.
I think, yeah.
I agree. I agree.
Amazing. So Afolabi, this has been so educational. Thank you so much. And I know there is like a wealth more information that you've got. And I know that you told me about the sneak peek. You've got these 12 safe cost-saving hacks that your 3PL partner may never tell you. So you told me a little bit about that. I think it's extremely exciting. So for all of you guys, I suggest you download it on the link below. We're going to leave a link below that. So essentially, without going crazy deep into that, just tell us a little bit about these cost-saving hacks. I guess, why did you come up with that? Like what led you to start thinking about like, hey, there are these cost savings hacks? Like what have you seen with e-commerce stores that made you realize that, people might not think about the cost, or that some 3PLs might be taking advantage of them?
Yes, so we just noticed that a lot of our customers were asking about details on their invoices. They're like, oh, what about this charge? Why did we charge this? So we let them know that, look, your products arrived. Your pallet was like falling apart into pieces by the time we got it. And guess what? When your products arrive in that kind of condition, somebody has to individually take the boxes out, fix every single box, retape every box, put it nicely on the pallet, wrap it. Now, anytime your 3PL touches something, they charge for it because you're using manpower to fix all these kind of issues. So these hacks that we want you to download under this video just tells you how to prepare your goods, how to let your suppliers prepare your goods so that when your 3PL receives it, they don't really need to touch anything. They don't really need to spend time fixing any problem. For us here, we'd rather serve so many customers than fix common issues. If we can help you avoid all these issues, that's the goal. Because anytime we receive products and they have massive problems, it stops our workflow. We have to now change our workflow for the day. I'm like, oh, this 17 pallets came and they were all so bad and there were holes all over. They were leaning forward. They were scattered in the container. We have to stop everything we're doing to fix it. Do we charge for it? Yes, but do we really want to be doing that rather than receiving more goods for other customers? We prefer to let the flow go, let's keep the flow going. We're not interested in overcharging or charging you all this extra stuff, right? So in this hacks, you will learn how to reduce how many times your 3PL will have to touch your product. You would learn how to inspect your products from the origin instead of having your 3PL inspect it for you, right? Let's say you're buying your product from China, you're buying your product from India. The labor rate in China and India is a lot lower than in the US. So let them do the inspection from there. There was this, I have this customer, he was paying like $33,000 or almost $35,000 on every container he ships. I'm like, why? It's like, I said, tell me your workflow. Tell me your process. How do you do this? Like, oh, I get my products from China and then I ship it to Chicago and then they check it for me to make sure that everything is good and we fix all the problems and then I send it to Amazon. I'm like, why do you have to inspect your product in Chicago? It's like, well, there's so much issues. I'm like, tell me all your issues. So by the time he told me all his issues, I saw that the problem is from the origin.
Yeah.
If you could pay 25 cents a piece at the origin, before your product even leaves, you would have saved yourself. Exactly. So we redesigned this whole workflow. And why ship to Chicago when all your customers are on the East Coast?
Yes.
I'm like, let's route it to here. We'll help you take your stuff here. And also we discovered that some of his problem is because of the labels on his boxes. So we redesigned the label to make sure that your 3PL can see and understand each product without touching it. Just by looking 6 feet away, we can tell what's on your pallet. We don't have to touch it. So we redesigned all that from like $33,000, $35,000 billing. It dropped to like less than $3,000.
Wow.
It completely wiped out 90% of all his costs. Like just fixing it, small issues, right?
Yes.
We don't want to be sitting in the warehouse fixing little stuff,
Yes.
We'd rather have you prevent it in the first place. So all the hacks is going to help you to prevent all this nightmare so that your 3PL would not suck you dry.
Yes, amazing. I love it. And also, guys, with that, start thinking about those of you guys who warehouse at Amazon, start thinking about that too. Like, how much are you sending to Amazon, and is Amazon charging you short-term, long-term storage and all these things? Or do you just want to create a flow that it just gets to Amazon just in time and you just keep a minimum order in Amazon? Because again, speaking from my own experience of having paid Amazon a lot of money in the past, you really want to understand the math of your business, because that's the backbone, right? The more time and the more money you save and the more you empower the customer experience your customers are getting, like that is just going to completely turbocharge your store. So amazing, Afolabi. This was fantastic. I really love it. So guys, remember to download 12 cost-saving hacks your 3PL may never tell you. If you do have any questions for myself or for Afolabi, just put them in below. We would love to hear from you. We would love to hear what ideas did you get out of this video to really turbocharge and unleash the potential for your store. And with that said, we are looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye-bye.